What would Pokemon look like if they were in the Monster Hunter series? Well, in today's video I thought I could sketch up a couple crossovers for Salamence and Rhydon, so let's get to it. Okay, so first off I'm going to be starting with Rhydon here. Rhydon is a rock and ground type Pokemon that was first introduced all the way back in Gen 1. Shout out to all my fellow Gen 1ers out there. It is a hefty bipedal creature whose design-wise looks like a mix between a dinosaur and a rhinoceros. Its most prominent feature is that drill-like horn on the tip of its snout that it can use in combat. According to Pokemon lore, its armored hide is so thick that it can even withstand molten lava up to 3600 degrees. Also, a little fun fact, it's apparently one of the very first Pokemon that Ken Sugimori ever designed. Now, I don't know about y'all, but whenever I think of Rhydon, I always reminisce back to the battle against one of my personal favorite gym leaders of all time, Giovanni, the iconic leader of Team Rocket. Dude was a damn mob boss, and his roster of Pokemon was pretty dope too since it revolved around ground-type Pokemon. And of course, Persian. Can't forget about Persian, you know? It always seemed like his Rhydon had a higher chance of landing that one-hit KO with Horn Drill, and I definitely got taken out a couple times from it, I recall. Vividly, I recall. But anyways, I felt like I could take Rhydon here and turn it into a Brute Wyvern to fit into Monster Hunter. As with most Monster Hunter creature designs, you gotta make sure to incorporate lots of overlaying plates and scales running down the body, which works out pretty well here with Rhydon since its armored plates are very rock-like. I imagine these beasts would roam in mountainous regions and volcanic areas, and would probably fit well at home in a locale like the Oil Well Basin that we'll be getting in Monster Hunter Wilds, or even something like the Elder's Recess back in Monster Hunter World. Perhaps it can use the drill-like horn atop its head to break through the rocky mountainsides to unearth special ores that they can consume. Since Rhydon is a ground and rock type, I didn't give it any sort of elemental powers or affinities to the design here. But of course we gotta keep that massive weakness to water that Rhydon has. I haven't done any of these Pokemon Hunter designs in a very long time, so I had to brush off a little dust here with this one and try to keep a similar style to the previous concepts I did here on the channel many moons ago, as you may recall. I think Rhydon would be a pretty fun but basic encounter if it were to be in a game like Monster Hunter. There'd be lots of charging and stomping, and of course tail whip attacks to swat those pesky ass longsword users who are attacking from the rear. Get out of here. And here we have the completed redesign for Rhydon. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments down below. And now let's move on to the next redesign for today's video. Alrighty, so now it's time for one of the pseudo-legendaries, the mighty Salamence. This Pokemon was first introduced back in my favorite generation of all time, Gen 3. I remember being like 10 years old and going to Best Buy to pick up Pokemon Ruby. Dude, I'm telling you, I was so damned hype you don't even know. I can just vividly recall holding that sparkling red game box in my hand for the first time and seeing Groudon right there on the cover and just dying of anticipation to get home and play it. Dude, my childhood was peak, and games like this were very much an integral part of it. But I digress. Salamence here was always one of the toughest Pokemon to acquire in the game, as with most pseudo-legendaries in the series. You usually don't come across their first evolution till later in the game, and then you gotta level these little assholes up all the way to the 50s, which back in the day was a lot more time consuming than it is now, with y'all young bloods and your automatic XP shared to your entire party. You used to actually have to put in the damn work and get your hands dirty, you know what I'm saying? Also, Gen 3 had another pseudo-legendary, and that being Metagross, who is also pretty badass in my opinion, and who I also happened to design a Monster Hunter version of here on the channel previously. Now, Salamence is a dragon flying type, so we're going to be going with the dragon element with the Monster Hunter version you see me sketching up. Also for this one, as you can see, I used Namielle as another reference because I wanted to incorporate a little bit of its body type into this drawing to help increase that Monster Hunter aesthetic. I just feel like when I imagine how it would look in a game like Monster Hunter, Namielle's body type and proportions would work pretty well with Salamence here. Also, side note, but I've always felt like Salamence's Mega Form was one of the weaker and more disappointing designs amongst all the Pokemon that got them. But its Paradox form is pretty badass, so that kind of makes up for it a little bit, I think. Now for me, whenever I look at Salamence, I've always kind of seen its wings as looking kind of like blades or axes. So an idea I had would be for this Monster Hunter version to actually have razor sharp limbs on its wings, like the last ligament there, that it can use to slice through foes as it flies straight at them. I think that would make for a pretty fun and interesting encounter, especially now since they're introducing like parries in Monster Hunter Wilds. I could totally imagine going blade to blade against this beast with my greatsword. And of course, it can breathe out some dragon elemental breath as a cherry on top. And here we have the completed redesign for Salamence, the Crescent Winged Dragon. Let me know in the comments down below what y'all think about this concept here. And that's going to be it for today's Monster Hunter vid. Do me a solid, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like my content and want to see more of it. Also, list off some Pokemon in the comments down below that you would like to see me redesign for this series. I've already done quite a few of them in the past, so be sure to check out my Monster Hunter playlist here on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.